So I'm about to roll a clip from Instagram where someone was going in on a caterer who they didn't like where they sourced their food from. And I'm going to point out a few things about the food we eat from so-called luxury brands and why this post was probably unnecessary. And we generally, as far as food is concerned, are all in the same boat. That's for people who shop at Walmart, people who shop at Whole Foods, and people who shop at Costco or any big box retailer whatsoever.
All fake wannabe ass chefs really kill me because like y'all all have this underlying theme of wanting to be a content creator. $200, lady, all I seen you use was craft and fucking great value. Be fucking for real. You don't even care about your customers enough to go to a fucking Whole Foods. They can't even get organic shit. Like you went to a fucking Walmart. Where is your butcher? Oh wait, you don't know how to outsource your fucking ingredients correctly because you're not a chef. You're too focused on being a fucking quote unquote master networker, fucking hustler, whatever the fuck you call yourself. Like that's the shit I'm talking about. Because if you really knew how to fucking market and all the shit you proclaim, you wouldn't have had to make this stupid ass post and end up on my fucking page like this is shit.
So obviously they felt very strongly about that. The only problem I'm going to point out here is they're assuming that the food from Whole Foods would be worth their clients' time. These mega corporations and mega farms get their food from pretty much the same sources. So you have Cargill, which is one of the largest factory farming slash grain producers. They even make Vital wheat gluten. So for all the vegans out there, if you eat any Garden or any tofurkey or something, you're probably eating a product from Cargill. I mean, they are expensive as they come, but there's a few problems with this. Cargill is a mass producer, which means they oftentimes have things like recalls. So you might go, well, I highly doubt that food's going to make it on my plate because I shop at Costco and I shop at Whole Foods. Well, I have really bad news. The news is that Cargill is, well, I'll start with this. How's about this? There was a recall and a scandal at the same time that went on with Vital Farms and how their eggs had preservatives. Or we can switch to the people who love the Costco rotisserie chickens. Well, believe it or not, those have similar backgrounds. Vital Farms sold their farm to a mega corporation a couple of years back, and that affected the production of the egg. Costco also uses a Ross 508 bird, which is a bird engineered by, I think, Tyson Foods. So if you think you're safe, you're not. A lot of products from Costco that may or may not be marked as a higher price point or labeled organic don't necessarily have to be actually organic. They also may carry PFAs because they found that a lot of these organic brands that people like so much have forever chemicals in them. So that's also very off-putting for the people who might be geared towards those brands. Purchasing from Walmart or Costco doesn't mean much, especially when they share a supplier. Monsanto provides almost 90% of the seeds on the market at the moment, and Cargill provides most of the grains and flour and everything. So if you buy it from a flour producer, they should really produce their grain themselves because otherwise, it's very likely they're getting it from Cargill. I know it's kind of unbelievable, but work with me. People are purchasing rotisserie chickens, they're purchasing organic foods, they're purchasing vegan food, and it all comes from the same pipeline. It doesn't matter if you go to Whole Foods at this point. These brands are selling you essentially the same thing with different wrapping paper. So the next time you reach for that $7 thing of cinnamon rolls, give or take a few ingredients. Annie's is owned by Kellogg or General Mills, something like that, and you are purchasing essentially the cheap cinnamon rolls, but it's a few different ingredients. But generally speaking, they are supplied and manufactured by the same people you are trying to avoid by paying far too much at Whole Foods or Costco or any other store that you think is better than somewhere like Walmart. I mean, unfortunately, at this point, mega farming, industrialized farming is the king of the land. It is the law of the land, and so much so that so much legislation has been changed recently to fit that, like the grass rule, which, if it's generally assumed safe, they don't have to change their labeling. Um, it depends on the person, what you want out of your food, but just know that just because you paid a certain amount of food or a certain amount of money doesn't mean that the food itself is going to be particularly healthy or special or different. It's just going to be food, whatever that means at this point in time, but it's just going to be. So with that, I just think the person's Instagram post was a little unnecessary. I don't know if they know her personally or something, but I see people say, "Oh, shop here and shop there." It's not about where you shop. It's about who you're shopping with. It's about where you're getting the food from and where the people who make your food get the food from. Even if you use the flour, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be from Cargill. You know, look at the source. But with all that said, this is my first video on it, and maybe I'll talk about it again in the future if anyone wants me to. There's a lot of information here about food safety and everything, so I'll be happy to post in the future.